Hello fellow learners, welcome to MathsBridge. Let's explore data visualization. Here is the agenda. Folks, please do visit us at our YouTube channel MathsBridge. I think you are already subscribed to the channel. If you have not, please do subscribe the channel and then support us. Thank you and then happy learning. Basically, whenever you heard data as a word, that means it's an information. Data is information. So you can define that data is information that can be used and translated into form that is effective and efficient for processing. Data refers to an individual pieces of factual information recorded and used for analysis. Based out of arrangement, we could think of there are the four types of the data availability: structured data, unstructured data, semi-structured data, time series data. So these are all basically we are trying to understand and then solve the real-time scenarios, right? When you have a structured format, then you use like a structured data type of databases. What that means is the predefined data model or the predefined format uh, that we use for the storing the data. So for example, data stored in relational database or spreadsheet are part of your structured data category. So what it will store? It will store like in a financial information, employee details like in a employee number, address, phone number, location, things like that. Now comes to topic called unstructured data. What is meant by unstructured data? Meaning there is no predefined format. Maybe some format, but that is not always consistent. That's what it meant to. So for example, images, videos, audio, text, social network information. There is no predefined structure, right? Images could be like a different format and then different sizes, and video also is like similar. These are all like a kind of unstructured data. How we are going to handle the unstructured data? Normally, we use a no SQL database. So no SQL database is used to process such a unstructured data. So now we uh, have a data which is in the kind of like a structured and unstructured, and then we also know like what type of databases that we are going to use to handle such a scenarios. There is one more thing called as a semi-structured data. XML and JSON are part of your semi-structured data. XML means extensible markup language, which is based on various rules to identify elements of a document. Whereas a JSON, JavaScript object oriented, which is a way to transfer information on web. Now comes to time series data means what? Time series data can be both structured and unstructured data. This type of data is for interactions. Example, tracking customer journey. What customer is ordering now, what is going to order next, and then what is his interest, and then how is actually surfing in the overnet, things like that. These all interests can be observed on time to time basis. So this sort of data, what we can call it as a time series data. Whenever I see data something like a very proper arranged format, a structured format, I could realize that I think it is trying to convey some information to me. What do you see from this data? Tell me. So I could see like there is a employee IDs are there, employee names are there. There is a employee where he works, maybe a department, employee address I'm seeing, employee age I'm seeing, employee phone number is also I'm seeing. So basically, here the information which is actually trying to convey something to us, right? This is what the data means. Like it should actually have to convey some information for us. Either you are going to save it in the structured format or unstructured format, a semi-structured, a time series, but the information has to be like convey some kind of a message for us, right? That is what it meant to say. So if you arrange them in the fixed format and then keep adding similar kind of records, see, those are what we can call it as a data arrangement, isn't it? If you can tabulate them, then I would say this is like a database table, right? So now all the horizontal lines, right, each employee details is like one line. This is what we can call it as a record, right? Okay, so I have 3 records of 3 different employees because I could see like individual employee details here. All the vertical lines, columns, is nothing but an attributes. Employee ID is an attribute, employee name is an attribute, department is an attribute, address is an attribute, age is an attribute, phone number is also an attribute. So these are the attributes. Attributes is also known as a field. Okay, so each field value is what we are saying. Instance of the record is what we are going to see as a entities. These are called entities. Okay, so if I would actually represent that into some kind of a diagramic part, what I can see, this is nothing but a employee table. That's why I put it like a rectangular box to understand. Now I'm trying to map it: employee ID, employee number, phone number, date of birth. Yes, I couldn't actually put the date of birth here, but you could imagine that there is a DOB field also exist here. Okay, address meaning street, city, state, country, right? Now if you see this, there is a significance for this understanding, right? This is a entity, the table name, and these are the single attributes, are the simple attributes. So that's what attribute name simple means, like these things, right? So when I say this colored mapping, this is called a composite attribute. Composite attributes means address will have in turn like few more subfields like street, city, state, column, right? That is what you are actually storing here, like a lot of information on the single field. It is a composite attribute. You can think like that. There is one more concept called a multi-valued attribute. What is meant by multi-valued attribute? So let's say like you have a phone, see the phone number field is only one, but you may have more than one phone numbers, right? So that means like a phone number field can have a multiple values. So that's why this attribute is called as a multi-valued attribute. One more attribute what I see is like a derived attribute. What is meant by derived attribute? Age basically is going to be derived from the date of birth. If I know the DOB of a employee, and then as on today, if I wanted to calculate the age, then what I would do is like the difference between the current date to the DOB is what we get a age per that particular employee, isn't it? So that's why derived attribute is kind of a like age is nothing but a derived attribute. So that way if you see, this is again a data is a structured format, and then making like a table format, and then every attribute has their own significance within which, and then tells me like address is like a composite attribute. These are the simple attributes. This is like a derived attribute. Phone number means I can have like a more than one phone number, so that I could think of this is like a multi-valued attribute. See, whenever you just started interpreting the data, you will get like a a meaningful insight for each field that you are actually capturing. That is the the interesting topic for us to take away. Data means in information that should convey something for us. I hope you are clear on this topic. This is most frequently we use in when you are actually trying to learn more on like in a DBMS, database management systems. This is a basic concept of data within which you will get to know more in detail. Let's look at one more context in this case, how you could see this data. In common usage, data is a collection of discrete or continuous values that convey information. describe quantity, quality, fact, statistics, other basic units of meaning, are simply sequence of symbols that may be further interpreted formally. Right? This is another way of actually convey what is meant by data. Let's look at this table and then try to figure out like what it is trying to convey you. I have seen this is like in a table is structured format, and then these are the attributes or the rows: student years, total marks obtained, fail, pass status, and gender. These are called as an attributes. And then I can categorize them like age and total marks obtained are kind of like a quantitative data. Pass, fail, gender is a qualitative data. What that means is, you know, quantitative means like a numerical values, right? That's called a quantitative. Qualitative means like a result from the information, like a true and false discrete values. That is how I can infer them both. So think about like when I say quantitative means like age 20, 23, 21, 19, 95, 80, 44, 88. These are like a numbers, right? It's a continued number, it's not a count, it is a number. This is what you can call it as a numerical value, right, or a continuous value. Let's come back to qualitative means what. Qualitative is not a number, right? It is only telling me as a result what happens, like it's a pass fail kind of information, or male or female, isn't it? These are called as a qualitative data. Whenever you say this kind of nature, you could infer them as like a qualitative data. When you see the numbers, then you can say is like a quantitative data. That is how you can distinguish and then correlate like a quantitative versus like a qualitative, how you can distinguish in the real-time scenarios. Continuous versus like a discrete. What is meant by continuous, what is meant by discrete, how I am going to understand these things. Okay, continuous elements are not counted but are measurable. It appears as a sequence value. It can take any value between two specified values, and even infinite number of values you can have in continuous. So quantitative variable is basically like a continuous variable. Example, income and age are you know are kind of like continuous values. The scale that you use for the continuous is like a interval and then ratio. Now you can define interval, you can define ratio, both are like continuous values. For example, time taken to run the race, right? So what this is like, is a discrete value or continuous value? Yes, it is a continuous value. Now look at a discrete means what? Discrete data can be counted, is usually counted as a whole number. Discrete data cannot be measured at all. Okay, so discrete data is also known as a qualitative data. Discrete variable means qualitative variable. For example, marital status, gender, nationality are part of your discrete. Scale, nominal scale or ordinal scale are the discrete scales. One best example here is like number of pages in a book is continuous or the discrete, right? So that's why you can distinguish how a continuous value and the discrete value can be distinguished. So one more representation for the data. We have a categorical data, continuous data, qualitative data, and quantitative data. Qualitative place where we have seen nominal data and ordinal data. Continuous place where you see interval data and the ratio data. Okay, so qualitative means like what, right? Data is categorized without any order. So variables, given to the names, labels, things like that. So gender, for example, male or female, right? This is kind of a nominal. M and F is what you use. Binary value 0 1 or false and true. Eye color blue, green, brown. These are called a quality, right? That's why these are quality but under nominal, because of name given to them. And one more, we are not really maintaining an order here. There is no order. Okay. Ordinal means like we are adding extra parameter to the nominal, which is an order. Like the information, that is ranked or ordered. For example, you are in competition. I think one of you would be a part of like your top 3 ranks. So how would you say first, second, third places in competition, right? Isn't right? Or like you are one of the top director in a company, so you are ranking high. That's what you were saying, like a top director of the company, isn't it? Something like that. Now let's look at a interval. Means what? The interval attribute is used to define a value measured along a scale with each point placed at a equal distance from one another. So for example, like a thermometer might have an interval of like a 10 degrees, isn't it? In the scale that you look at, those are called intervals. Now comes back to the ratio. What is meant by ratio? Ratio is kind of an extension to the interval. It is exactly same as interval scale, except that the 0 on the scale. What that means, like weight 0 does not exist and age 0 does not exist, right? Normally in the interval scale, but whereas in the ratio you do have, because if you look at like your physics, velocity 0 means there is a meaning, right? Energy 0 means there is a meaning, things like that. So this is how I think you can see like categorically how you could see the data. And continuous means like what are the data that you would see. Categorically, nominal, ordinal, like a hair color, pen, pencil, eraser, right? Giving a color like a black and red, and these are the labels given to the thing. So these are kind of nominal. Ordinal means like is look at excellent, good, bad. You are giving kind of an order, and education level is like an order, ordinal. So this is how you can see in the real time how you can look at a categorical data versus like a continuous data. So we looked at 4 scales: nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio. Nominal means like a named variable. Ordinal means like a named plus order. Interval means like named plus ordered plus proportionate between the variable values. Ratio means named plus ordered plus proportionate between a variable plus can accommodate absolute 0. When you are collecting the data, you generally source the data from 2 places. One is statistical, other one is like non-statistical. Statistical source means like the data that you are going to gather for official purpose. Non-statistical means like you are collecting the data for a private purpose, like an administrative purpose, right? So this is what it is. But what is the typical methods for collecting a primary data? So direct to personal investigation, indirect to oral investigation, information through correspondence, telephonic interview, and then the questionnaire. You prepare a questionnaire and then try to get a answer in which you can see the data that you are looking for. These are the in generic way of actually collecting a primary data. Data processing requires data as an input and generates a output from the data processing, right? When I say data as an input, what that means is you first collect the data, then you pre-processing the data, like a clean up the data, okay, as it needed, and then you enter the data entry. These are the 3 steps at high level that what we have at the input stage. In processing part, you store the data, You retrieve the data, you classify the data, you update the data, you model the data, right? This is kind of a processing. Once the processing is done, output of the process is what you are going to get is in the form of reports and results. That is what data processing. So if we were going to look at more on what sort of reports that you are going to generate, how you are going to read each report, that is a part of like your visualization. All right. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, click on bell icon and leave the comments. Happy learning. Thank you. Stay tuned to upcoming sessions.